Thank you for joining, everyone. The Microsoft Power Automate Desktop discussion. I want to make it a discussion this time. I want to make it more of an interactive session than a presentation. So we'll see that we will have a walkthrough of different concepts, and then let's jump in. Let's talk about it. That's the whole idea. Let's have some thought-provoking conversations. So in terms of agenda, here's what we'll do. First, we'll start by talking about the approach of Microsoft, right? To me, it's much more than just automation. It is more of a power platform which is enabling productivity. So we'll just look at it quickly. And this is where Nikosh will come in and talk about the whole platform, right? And then I'll be doing a demo, a quick demo. I'm not a big techie guy, but I'll try my best, and I'll show you how easy it is to make it, right? And not being a techie, and how to make it with Power Automate Desktop. And then we'll have a breakout. So that's an exciting part to me. Again, I'm going to try this out for the first time, so bear with me. But the idea is to match you up with someone from from the group, from the community, so that you guys can meet and greet and say hi. We'll see how much time we'll have for that. I'm thinking about 5 to 10 minutes where we can spend on that, and get to meet people, and we'll do that often. That's what is my idea. And then we have Ajmer on the call. He is with PK, and he'll be sharing some real world experiences. And he's been using this for some time, and he has also used UiPath and other automation tools. So we'll just try and contrast that, how it does, the Power Automate Desktop. Finally, the pricing, and there's been some questions around that. So we'll talk about pricing, what's free, what's not free, how to get started with Power Automate Desktop. So let's get started. Quick introduction to our people, panelists on the call today. Nikosh has been with Softomotive. We're just talking to him. He has been with Softomotive right from the beginning, when Power Automate Desktop, which is at that time called Win Automation, was there. So
Thanks, Nandan.
Yeah. So welcome, Nikosh. Thank you for taking time to join us today.
Sure, my pleasure.
And Ajmer, he is a real world user. As I said, he's from PK. He has used RPA, Power Automate Desktop extensively, and so we'll talk to him about it. Welcome, Ajmer.
Thanks, Nathan. Pleasure to meet you.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for joining, Ajmer. And then, so let's start with our first thing on the agenda. As I said, we'll talk about Microsoft, the productivity platform. We'll talk about what's the overall approach of Microsoft. Where does Power Platform fit in? Where does Power Automate Desktop fit in, right? And, at the core, and to start with, I just wanted to start with this quote from Satya Nadella. When he took over, this was 7 years back when he took over, he set the vision that the company would be a productivity and a platform company. And he wanted to reinvent productivity for every people in the world. And that's the vision that they have been building on. And this is radically different from what Steve Ballmer was thinking of doing. Under Steve Ballmer, it was a Windows and a devices company, right? And he actually said that he's going to take a different direction. In fact, he moved away from Windows. He actually almost closed the Windows division, or made it less relevant, and brought all the technologies to every platform. So he started with opening up Microsoft Office. You must have seen Microsoft Office is now available on iPhone, on your Android, and any device, right? And so is Dynamics. And so he's been opening up that part of the equation, which is the productivity that they had, platform that they had. But the bigger story here is that they've flipped the whole script. They've made it AI and data first, with Analyze, Automate, and Act, which is the Power Platform, and I call it the power to the people. And that's what we'll be talking about first. And I'll hand it over to Nikosh to walk us through the Power Platform. So Nikosh, over to you. You can share your screen.
Sure. Thank you once again, Nandan, for hosting us today. It's really a pleasure being here. So I will spend a few minutes, don't want to make it too detailed, just to give an overview of background of what we are doing at Microsoft after Softomotive's acquisition, mainly. So, okay.
Let's share on top.
Yeah. Hope you can see my screen. Not yet.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, very good. So, okay, this is the first slide. Very quickly, I would like to talk about the acquisition that happened last year. So I was part of Softomotive for about 5 years, from the early days of the RPA explosion, let's say. So I was happy, I mean, privileged enough to experience this big growth of RPA and our company as well. So were one of the pioneers in this space, about 15 years in this industry, doing only RPA, nothing else than that. We had about 9,000 customers, and the interesting thing is here, some of them were very, very small. So even individual people would, download the trial of our Win Automation from our website, and if they liked the product, they could do what they wanted. They could buy a license. And of course, this was the one. And then the other edge was, very large enterprise organizations who were adopting our solutions within hundreds of thousands of bots. The interesting thing is that Word Automation has been ranked from end user portals like this G2 Crowd, where end users are rating software, as the easiest to use RPA solution for many years. This was a consistent rank, and this was our main, kind of the thing that we believe differentiated us. If you look at the other players in the other RPA space, and also it made the acquisition very relevant because we'll talk about in a couple of slides why Power Platform is meant for citizen development, and it's meant for the business user, for the low code as a developer. So it was a great match in that sense. So actually, Power Automate Desktop is the evolution of Win Automation. So it is actually when the acquisition happened last May, the fact is that we have to admit that the product development was very fast. So within just a few months, after in December 2020, Power Automate Desktop became generally available. So it is now rebranded and repackaged under the look and feel of the whole Power Automate service, which is basically it's a cloud service, as we know. Power Automate is a SaaS cloud native service, and Power Automate Desktop is the only component which is installed in the desktop. It's basically the RPA component of it. And with KMGA, we added all the governance capabilities that should be there. Of course, Power Platform has its own governance, which is much more sophisticated, but we needed some dedicated governance and monitoring features, especially for Power Automate. And at the same announcement, we came up with a process mining capability as well. We call it Process Advisor. It's still in public preview. And this is basically allowing you to drill down inside the steps of a process and collaborate with peers and colleagues, share those flows and processes, and within this nurturing and collaboration, get some insights and decide which candidates are maybe the best ones to go for automation. So this is the Power Platform. I hope that you don't see this panel here. Yes, sorry about that. So this is the overall Power Platform. As you mentioned, Nandan, this is nothing else but a platform. It's not so RPA is just a small piece of this whole platform. And those are the 4 components that Power Platform is consisting of. Power Automate, which is the automation tool. Power Apps, which is allowing you to create your own custom applications in a mobile phone, run them in a mobile phone in your browser. Power BI, which is an analytics dashboard where you can get insights and analytics, and the Power Virtual Agent, which is the newest addition here. It is an intelligent chatbot, which is using conversational AI to interact with a human. And the good thing that all this Power Platform is built on top of Azure Cognitive Services. Azure is the foundation behind this. It's a cloud service. Microsoft Dataverse is a backend as a service where we store all the configurations, all the apps, everything is stored there in Dataverse. Again, a cloud service. AI Builder, which is mainly for the more sophisticated, artificial intelligence natively built by Microsoft. So you can do forms extractions, you can do sentiment analysis, you can do object detections, all of these more sophisticated tasks. And the data connectors, which are more than 450 as we speak right now, and we keep adding day by day. Those connectors allow you to automate processes over the cloud through APIs. So you don't need necessarily to use RPA, which is a big difference than what we had before in Softomotive, and also some other vendors are offering. Here, most pieces are done through the API connectors, and whenever there is a legacy application which don't have an API, will never have an API, then you will use the Power Automate desktop, which is RPA component. Important thing is that all this platform is spanning across the three major pillars of Microsoft, which is Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics 365. So you have native connectivity around all of these systems. And this is about Power Automate itself. So we have to say here that Power Automate is much more than just an RPA. We mentioned before the components RPA, which is a Power Automate desktop. This is mainly for the legacy applications which you cannot automate through APIs. Then the API automation is, we call it digital process automation, or DPA. Then this is basically automating through cloud connectors, more than 450 across Microsoft ecosystem, but also many other systems like SAP or Oracle or Salesforce, ServiceNow. You have connectors with all the systems, and also the triggering of the process is done through those cloud API, those cloud triggers. So more than hundreds of triggers there over the cloud to invoke your flows. And again, this is something that is can be much more resilient because it is not dependent on the user interface. So that's why we say we bridge the gap between the legacy applications which need RPA and the more modern applications where you can apply API automation. And the third pillar, I talked about this before, so it's the AI builder, as we call it, which is mainly for the more intelligent automation capabilities. Of course, this is technology by Microsoft, so we don't need any third party vendor for that. You can do extraction from invoices, you can do sentiment analysis, you can do language detection, object detection, all of this again into an environment which is no code at all, so a business user can directly go ahead and use it. So this is about Power Automate desktop. You will see it later also in the demo, but very quickly, it's a drag and drop designer experience where you can use a set of about 370 ready-made actions. You can drag and drop them and create simple scripts like this one that you see here. But at the same time, there is all this sophistication coming from Softomotive's Win Automation, where you can automate, business systems like SAP or AS400 terminals in banking systems, very, sophisticated systems. But using this drag and drop interface, we also offer recorders, web recorder and desktop recorder, which make it even easier. So it's just, record your actions and it could create a script like that you see on the screen here. The second pillar, which is a digital process automation, is all about automating through APIs. As I mentioned before, more than 450 as we speak, many systems. You see here just a quick selection, a snapshot of those. Triggers are hundreds of those cloud triggers which allow you to invoke your automation. It can be, let's say, it can be an email which comes through an online Outlook. It can be a SharePoint entry, for example. Everything is on cloud. There, it can be also a button. So you press a button and it's scheduled. It is invoking the automation. Thousands of actions to build your cloud flows over the cloud, and also a bunch of pre-built templates which are built also through the community. So anyone can build a template, can upload to the community through the community, and you have some reusable components where other people can use it without needing to reinvent, the wheel every time that you need to build something quite easy. And this is the AI builder, the last one, which is allowing you to turn structured and unstructured data into actions. So you see on the right side how we can extract some fields from an invoice, for example. Again, this is an environment really easy, how you can train the models and extract the fields. You can do business card reader processing, forms processing, language detection. It is having, you can have in mind a typical traditional OCR, but it is much more the service that you can get from there because it's again built on top of Azure Cognitive Services. It's much more than a traditional OCR. And I will close the presentation with the announcement that we did a couple of weeks ago in Ignite event, where we came up and we said that the Power Automate component is becoming available at no cost for Windows 10 users. And of course, this is a standalone personal bot. So it is the Power Automate desktop only component. So a bot which is meant for non-production personal use. Of course, anyone can use it for whatever purpose he wants. I mean, we don't restrict this, but we're going to explain later how you're going to combine this with cloud flows and triggers and all of this stuff to make it enterprise ready. So Nandan, I will keep the last slide for the other topic, part of the meeting, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So can I share my screen now? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. We have a few questions, and then I think we can get to the next part of the thing. Let's. Sorry. Very much chat. So, Minal, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, Nandan, sorry, I was on mute. Thanks. See, first thing is, I actually saw that as Nick, Nikos already pointed out that there can be more actions which can be created by users by themselves, and if they do it, then I think they can be published somewhere in the community which other people can also use it. Nikos, can you throw a little more light into it, like how I don't see any way that in pad you can create actions, and where do you publish it, and if there are multiple actions created, from where do we import it into our actions which are available in the pad?
Minal, thanks for the question. I'm happy to clarify this. This was not about PAD. This was about the cloud Power Automate cloud service, where you have the ability to build your custom connector and publish it. This was what I was talking about. If you remember, I mentioned this in the DPA section, digital process automation. Power Automate desktop, for the time being, you have the ability to create subflows and package them, but you don't have the ability to customize your own actions. You have only, you have of course the ability to invoke some scripting inside, some VB script, for example. You can do that, some custom code if you like, but you cannot do a custom action.
Okay, so is that something we can expect in the future, Nikos?
I'm not sure, to be honest. So I think that for the time being, there is no such a we don't have such a plan, but probably we can have it in the roadmap. Yes.
Okay. Thanks for answering that. And the second one is regarding the process advisor. As I understand, it works in the foreground, wherein it captures the screen, whatever the process a business user is doing it, and it does not really analyzes the logs from any system. When I say logs, it could be SAP logs, Oracle logs, or SQL logs. Please let me know what I'm saying. Is that correct or not?
Yes, this is definitely correct. So Process Advisor is again, it's a lightweight tool which is mainly done. It's that the audience is again the citizen developers and business users. It's not a heavy process discovery tool. For that, we have a partnership with Fortress IQ, which is also a company that Microsoft has invested there. So if you look at Fortress IQ, you install sensors in computers who are, let's say, logging a 24/7 machine. It's capturing, collecting the data exactly as you mentioned. A process advisor is not meant for that. It's not designed for that. The idea behind process advisor is that you record a script, you record the process the same way as you use the recorder with Power Automate desktop. It's the same recorder, actually, the same technology. So you record the steps. So you have one person, and then it creates you a graph where you can see, the steps and the time that it needs for this person to execute the steps. Now, you will share this with a colleague. Of course, you will remove the sensitive data, the credentials, etc. And your colleague will do the same recording in his own machine. And then you will notice that there might be some differences. So this maybe the other person is executing the process slightly differently. It takes him more time, or it does some more steps. So this is the kind of insights, the kind of drilling that you get, and then through collaboration, through nurturing with many people, you will find out people who have similar processes, and you will find out the discrepancies of why I need more time than you to create the same process, and then out of all this collaboration, the final outcome would be to come up with some proposals for automation. Also, the thing that we have in the roadmap, and can be really something that can come fairly soon. Not sure when, but it is something that we plan to come up with. Is the fact that you will be able to generate an RPA script out of this schematic that process advisor will bring. So you will be able to generate to convert this kind of how you call it schematic out from this process drilling into an RPA script, which of course might need some slight modification, but you'll have the foundation to very, very easily come up with an RPA and automation script in Power Automate Desktop. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. It makes. Thanks for answering. Just a little
Sure.
quick one, one more, Nikos, but a quick one. So, Nikos, as I said that, as I saw on that Microsoft made the pad free. So I kind of downloaded it into my system, but then after 1 month, I see that some of the actions went away. So when you say that pad is now free for all Windows 10 users, so whatever actions generally comes with pad, so are all those free or are there any limitations as per with the
No,
free version?
there's no limitation at all, Minal. So there's no different edition of Power Automate Desktop. Power Automate Desktop is one. There's no, edition one or edition two or whatever. The Power Automate Desktop should be working properly. So it should be free. I don't know what's happening. What happened with your
Yeah,
machine, to be
I
honest.
can answer. I can answer these questions.
Probably, yes. Probably
Meenal,
yes.
Meenal, you have to reinstall the Power Automate desktop. There is issues with the backward compatibility. So once you reinstall it, you could see all of the features in Power Automate.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Ishmael.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Minal. Thanks for the questions. Subhashini, did you have a few questions you wanted to ask quickly, because we need to get to the next segment? Or I can ask if you don't want to. So Subhashini has a question, Nikosh, can flows created in PAD be shared to users within the same organization?
Sorry, Nandan.
Can flows created in Power Automate Desktop be shared to users within the same organization?
Absolutely, yes. It's a great question. When the idea here is that you don't use PAD independently from the Power Automate cloud. If you want, you can do this is the free edition. So there's no edition. Sorry, not to confuse people. PAD is one. There's no editions from PAD. But if you want to share your flows with people, then you have to go to Power Automate Cloud and publish those desktop flows, as we call it, in the portal. So there you have a capability to share this flow. This can be a desktop flow or a cloud flow or a combination of both with other people through just assigning through their email ID. It's a very easy way to do that through Power Automate portal.
Okay, all right, thank you. How about Arabic? We
Welcome.
support Arabic? That's one more question she had.
You mean the user interface?
Does
No, I think that for the time being we don't support this. Although I have to say here that we have doubled down on that. So in the GA announcement, we have 15 languages that we support. So which was, in the preview, it was just 4 or 5 languages. Now, just 3 months, we covered another 11 languages, including some Asian languages like Japanese or simplified Chinese, and of course, Spanish and other languages. But Arabic is not yet supported.
Okay, all right. Thank you everyone for the questions. I know there are so many questions. We'll get to those soon, and many of those I think we'll get to it as we go through this one. And I think it's
Sure.
10:57. It's almost time to get to a breakout. So people who are raising the hands, please put your questions in the chat, please, because we'll see what questions are and we'll get to that. So can we locate our pad flows file in Windows directory? Nikosh?
Okay, good question as well. So here it comes the notion of Dataverse that I mentioned, that I talked about in Power Platform. So when it comes to Power Automate Desktop, we don't store the configurations and the scripts themselves locally anymore. This was the case in Win Automation. There was a .dat file. Apologies, I'm not a techie, but I know a few things like that. So in Win Automation, we were storing locally the scripts. In Power Automate Desktop, the configuration of the scripts and the logs and everything is stored in Dataverse, in the cloud, in the cloud backend that we have. Only your data, I mean, your data can, of course, in Excel can be online again, but if you have a desktop Excel, then this will reside, of course, in your desktop. The configuration of the scripts are not residing in your desktop.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we'll just let's get to the next segment now, which is a demo. So I'll share my screen here, and we'll just do a quick demo. I'll make it short so that we can get to the next things. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
I hope you guys can, right? Okay. So, the first thing is to download it. If you have not downloaded it, go to Google and search for it. You should get it. Come here, just say download free. And then once you download it, basically what happens is that you get an interface like this, right? And then you can do your flows here. And the flow, basically, you can make many flows like this. What I made here, you can create a new flow. We'll just say test here and then create. And then it opens up an interface, a canvas, just like if you work with RPA, any RPA, it just opens an interface where you can, drag drop the actions, the activities in UI path. And so there are multiple actions out there, right? And, this is all, most of which I think were, written for Win automation by Softomotive, and it's been all converted into this interface. So there are many things like if you want to, do the file, do some manipulation with the files, you can copy those things here, each of those things, right? So there's files, there is web UI automation, there is Excel, and many of those things, right? And I don't want to get into it. So you can explore it. So you can, one simple thing like I can show you. So if you want to say launch Excel, just launch it. And then if you want to close, right? And then you just run it. So you'll see that it will open when I run it. It will open Excel. Yes, there it did. It did open and then it did closed, right? So, whatever you want, you can do it. And then there is two recorders here, web recorder and a desktop recorder. And let me see if I can show you one quick demo of a web recording. So I'll show it on my blog here. And where is it? Working with too many windows here. And I hope it works, right? So we'll just start a recording. When you start a recording, it will ask which browser that you want to do it. Let's say Chrome, because we have Chrome. And remember, you need to install the the Chrome extension to do that. And then when you do say next, then it comes up with something like this, where it says, okay, you launch and navigate to this one, to that browser window. And then we say start recording. And then it brings up all these elements, right? And then you can go here, and then you can put the names here. And, let's say we just, we just send some message. We're just putting some message here. Hopefully it will not mark it as a spam. So yeah, it did that. So, and then we say finish, right? So that's basically what it has recorded, and it has recorded everything out here. And so we can close this. Let's see what it does when we try to run it. It opened up on my other window, but here it is. It launched the browser, and then it goes there. It's in the image thing, and then it submits it to you, right? And if you look at my email, not come yet. But yeah, you get the point, right? It is, I think it'll take some time for it to come, or it may have marked it as a spam because I did it twice. But I think you get the point that it's basically, you can actually record these things, and you can do the same thing with a desktop recorder. Like you can do the actions in Excel, for example, and then delete it, do whatever you want, and then it records the action here. I was going to show you here. Oh, it did fail with some error because of the button. But anyway, so you can easily do it. I did it a couple of times yesterday. Actually, close this here. And then go here. I'll run this so that I'll show you how it. works. I did that yesterday. Record is dropping. Okay.
And then it's Murphy's laws, the demo never works when you actually have to show it to everyone.
Yeah, that's why I don't do live
Otherwise,
demos.
yeah.
That's why I don't do live demos. But anyway, we'll see. Yeah, see, now I got it. Okay. So anyway, yeah, the earlier one has come through, James. Okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys this one. And so, any questions there before we get to the breakout?
One quick question. Hi, Bilal here. So if I want to dynamically change the attributes that are being filled out in the fields, or, it recorded my actions, but within those actions, I want to write a code or a script that instead of David's name or somebody else's name, it picks up some information maybe from an Excel file and then fills them one by one and then fill out the form on the web. How can we do that? How can we modify the RPA like that?
Nandan, I can take this. Of course, I mean, when you use the recorders, it will come up with a script like the one that Nandan created just before. But you can go ahead and modify all the actions because, again, it's a sequence of actions. So instead of drag and dropping them, it is recording, your actions. It's creating the script. Then you can go ahead and go inside each and every action and modify if you want. So maybe you can. I go a bit technical now, although as I said, I'm not a techie guy. But you can change the selector, for example. You want to make it more stable, or you may want to add exception handling, which we have 2 layers of exception handling in Power Automate Desktop. So all of these things you can go and do it later after the recording. So the recording gives you the basic, an easy way, very easy way to create the script, the foundation of the script.
Got it. And will that also be like the drop-down functionality, a good user-friendly interface, or will I have to write some scripts and code for it?
You don't write any code. We have, as I mentioned before, you have the ability to inject some scripting if you like, but in most cases it's not required. So as it is a drag and drop interface, you just configure the windows, the action windows with the parameters there. There's no code there.
Awesome, thank you. I really used to love when you guys used to name it Microsoft Flow instead of Automate, but I guess it's something marketing related.
Yeah,
no,
I also agree that Flows is a good.
Yes, the Microsoft Flow is nothing else than the Power Automate Cloud
It's
service.
the same. It's a rebranding.
It's just a rebrand, and the Power Automate Desktop is a rebranding of Win Automation, to be honest. So this is how.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Minal. I see you're answering some questions over there. Thank you so much. So we'll just get to the breakout so that we can get to meet each other. We have around 40 people on the call, 40 plus. So I'm just making it around 8 so that we'll have around 5 people in each room.
Nandan, your demo worked much more better than what I tried the first time.
Come on, you're being modest, Andy.
Within an hour of the Ignite announcement, I created a flow, and then I did have some trouble, but I think yours went very smooth. I should call you out on that.
It did not.
Okay. Whatever it is, I think it was a lot smoother.
Okay, thanks, Willem. Thanks for joining. So we'll just break out now. Whoever is present, and thank you, Andy. We'll bring you in. Okay, Andy is a UiPath MVP, by the way. So we'll just bring you all into the breakout. So enjoy your meeting. So first, let's start with the activities or the building blocks, right? I mean, I put it activities, but it's actions in Microsoft. Nikosh, are you back?
Yes, I'm back, Anton.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'm here.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about the activities. So Ajmer, I think I'll bring you in, and then guys who have experiences or have questions, please jump in and let's talk about it, right? So Ajmer, what do you think about the actions in Power Automate Desktop?
So the actions, when we call it as Power Automate, right, you can't actually take out Power Automate Cloud because it's all connected, right? So because Power Automate, from the Microsoft perspective, it covers the cloud flow as well as the desktop flow. So the action is concerned. Power Automate is providing you the connectors, pre-built connectors, standard connectors, premium connectors, and also provide the ability to build your own custom connectors. Let's say you have your on-premise applications where you have an API where you wanted to create your own custom connectors using that API. Power Automate is providing a custom connector option. You can bring your Swagger page and create your AP connectors using that. And as Nico said, right, when desktop activities is concerned, as of now, Microsoft doesn't provide any external package because it is all cloud-based automations, right? So any future upgrade, everything is going to be part of your the Microsoft Power Automation desktop, and it's give you the ability to bring your own code using the different language interfaces, right? As you said, Nico rightly said, it provides you the JavaScript ability. It provides you the PowerShell script. You can even integrate with your Python code, right? So that's where the Microsoft Power Automation Desktop fills the gap with the current capabilities. So you can bring your own code to create your own activity. Instead of activity is going to be bring your own code to scale your automations at this point.
Okay, that's very good points you said there. And one thing I would like to say is I've been on Microsoft's site and they actually encourage you to use the cloud-based flows rather than, if it is available, right? Before you use Power Automate Desktop. Okay, Hemal, what's your question?
So I have a small question. Microsoft has taken over and the same applications called Win Automation. So I don't know what is the objective between the Win Automation and the Power Automate desktop. I mean, because both of the applications are built for the same purpose.
Yeah, Hemal, they're the same. So the Win Automation features is what you largely see in Power Automate Desktop. It's the same thing. It's just that rebranded version.
So it is for it. Yeah, it is for the desktop automation. The same thing I think can be done by Power Automatic Desktop PAD, right? So
No.
I'm not able to figure out the difference.
Power Automate Desktop is nothing but the rebranded Softomotive Win Automation. It's the same software.
If I can clarify this, just to make it clear. Of course, I mean 90% of the actions, so it's not exactly the same, but most of the actions have been transitioned from Win Automation to Power Automate Desktop. But the idea behind that is that we, back to Softomotive, we had Win Automation for more than 12 years. But when we got acquired by Microsoft, we need to come up with a tool which would be natively integrated into Power Automate service. So that's all about. So of course it's a rebranding, but there is also some technology behind to make it compatible with Power Automate Cloud. So this Dataverse that I mentioned before, which is very foundational. We don't store anything locally now on the configuration side. We store in the Dataverse Cloud. So this is just to mention one. So of course it's a rebranding. Of course it is what happened after the acquisition, but there is a reason behind that. The reason is that we need a SaaS offering which is Power Automate Cloud version, but at the same time the RPA component, the runtime, the desktop component should be compatible with the cloud service. Hope that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, let's make it.
And Win Automation will slowly, fade away. Not now, of course, but it will slowly, will be.
Okay.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Okay, thanks, Hemal, for the question. So we'll just have to go a bit fast. We just have 9 more minutes. So next about governance. I think I'll stop after governance because it is one big topic again. Arinza had some questions, but what's your thoughts, Ajmer, on governance?
So when governance is concerned, a lot of people is thinking that they want something similar to the DA path or automation. If we're looking for the control centers to monitor it, right? Power Automate or Microsoft Power Automate works very similar to the other products which Microsoft is offering, like Power App, or it all comes under the umbrella of Power Platform, right? So the Power Platform tenants has, or I would say tenant admin has all the controls what they need, right? Because that governance is controlled part of the admin, not part of the users. The users, the licensed users will have only have access to their flows, what they created or what they shared between the others. They will not have visibility of the flows that being created under the tenants because that's a security, right? So that security is what you have to look at from the admin level, not at the users level. So there are a lot of things that the gaps in understanding how the Microsoft Power Platform works, because a lot of security, governance, and capabilities are built on the Power Admin side, not on the user side. And all of this actually, the monitoring wise, they provide you the complete traceabilities of your flow, and also the auditing logs and security things. Everything is coming in. And also, in addition to that, if Microsoft also come up with the Center of Excellence governance kit. If you are not familiar, there's something we can go and download from the GitHub. It is a complete solution package, but even that you need to have admin access to install it, because you can't install that as a user. It has to be implemented from the admin perspective to get the governance abilities of your Power Automate.
Yeah, so the governance you have to go to the cloud basically, right? It's all available.
Yes, everything is the cloud in terms of Power Automate. It's all Azure control, and it's all admin control.
Okay. And how about the work queues? That's what Arinza had a question when I went in the breakout.
It is a good question. Our queue is something which Nikos can answer. Is there anything in the roadmap? So at this point, I don't see any of this. But do we really need? Because completely, Microsoft is unlimited flow, right? It's not worked on the licensing model of like compared to other RPA, right? So it's the flow that you create is unlimited, and only your unattended license is tied up with that thing. So it all depends on whether you really need it to go with the transactions lab. But is there something, Nikos, is there anything in the roadmap about work queues?
Yes, actually, I was typing the answer in chat as you had this question. So all these kind of traditional RPA features that so are unattended bots and kind of queuing, etc. Everything is there. Yeah. So on the queuing, we have already the queues. There we have load balancing. So basically, it's a little bit different, but the result is the same. But from what you're used, so you can create a cluster of on-premise data gateway. That's how we call it. That's how you connect from the cloud service to the desktop. So we have this on-premise data gateway. This is the mechanism. Then you can create a cluster of those gateways, so the incoming tickets, for example, to those gateways in a kind of a random fashion. So the queuing is also there. So it is you can prioritize, for example, which process will be executed first or second. Then, if you have unattended bots which are running in parallel, then you can set up, through this cluster, you can set up, you can load balance them. So all of these things are there already. Of course, there are some limitations which will be lifted up in the future, but the foundation is there. It's already there. You can go ahead and test it.
Okay. Hi. So I have a question on that. So where exactly would you? I understand load balancing, but I'm not sure what load balancing has to do with the queues.
Yes, in the queues, back to automotive days, and also the other. Okay, there are two things here. One is queuing the processes, so based on priority, so which will be executed first or second, etc. This also we have.
No, not that. That's not the queue work queues. The work queues in terms of dealing with processing work items, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Basically, what I know, Softomotive had that for process robot. They had work queues implemented for process robot.
True.
But I've not seen that feature in Power Automate.
Yeah, as I said, it's slightly. The result is similar, but it works in a slightly different way. Maybe we don't have the time to go into very techy details now. But the idea is that you set up a cluster of gateways, and you handle the tickets in a way that you have 3 unattended bots, as we were calling it in the past, and you can distribute those tickets in those unattended bots.
Right, but I understand the cluster, but where is the work items being stored? Right, the cluster is just managing the order, but for work queues, you think about it like a table, a database table. You load all your incoming work that you need to process, and the bots pick it up and work on it. So it's not clear. I know Azure has what they have messaging as a service queue that they use. Is that what Microsoft is trying to leverage for work queues?
Yeah, anyway, I think that it's a bit technical for me, but we can take it
Okay.
offline if you like. But the functionality is there for sure. I mean,
Okay.
it's
We'll have to
I'll
leave
just
it
work.
there, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll reach out to you.
just
No worries. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for the question. So we are just 1 minute away. So I just let me wrap it up. So in terms of cost, let's just talk about the cost. All pad is free, as Nikosh said. But if you need to do more like governance and cloud integration connectors, is then you need to pay for it. And you can also add an unattended bot to it. The per user attended plan is $15 at this point of time, which would include everything, right? Not just the desktop only features, but you can work with the complete governance and things, connectors, cloud flows, and things like that.
Connectors is included part of the flow package, so it comes with the premium connectors too.
Okay.
And along with that, it provides you the 5,000 credits CA builder credits.
Okay, all right. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, so if you want to get started, I've collected one page. I've shared it on LinkedIn today, but it's botnirvana.org/PAD. So and I'll keep adding resources as I find them. This is largely from Microsoft, but we'll add more as we find it. If you want to get started, so that's all. So thank you so much, everyone. We just right on time completed. Nikosh, thank you so much for joining and clarifying for our community. Maybe we'll have this one more time because there's so many questions out there. Ajmer, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So thank you all for joining, and we'll do more of this one. And thank you for any feedback, anything you have, please drop me a mail, and we'll continue our conversations. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nikosh. Thank you.
Thank you.